Coming up next on Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable, State Schools Chief John Huppenthal admits to posting controversial and heretofore anonymous online comments. Attorney General Tom Horne is facing another investigation, this time by the Clean Elections Commission, and Secretary of State Ken Bennett refused a starring role in a voter education TV spot. The Journalists Roundtable is next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable. I'm Ted Simons. Joining us tonight, Jeremy Duda of the Arizona Capital Times, Mike Sunnix of the Phoenix Business Journal, and Ben Giles, also from the Arizona Capital Times. Superintendent of Public Instruction John Huppenthal admits to an active and until now anonymous life on the information superhighway. Boy, is this a story. What is going on here?
Well, it turns out John Huppenthal has had quite the double life online for a while. For a few years at least, he's been posting on a couple of local blogs. Blog for Arizona, which is a liberal blog, Seeing Red AZ, it's a conservative blog under a couple of pseudonyms, Falcon 9, Thucydides. Largely commenting in defense of himself and making some pretty wild and inflammatory comments, some of which actually are completely inaccurate too, by the way, which is funny. He said that Franklin Roosevelt was responsible for the rise of Adolf Hitler, even though Hitler became chancellor more than a month before he was sworn in. He said Roosevelt was responsible for the Great Depression, even though that started 3 years before he was elected. Some pretty questionable comments in a lot of these.
Yeah, and not just responsible. FDR was completely responsible for the Depression, and that no aspect of CPS protects children. I mean, these are obviously the kinds of things that you see a lot on anonymous postings. You just don't expect to find out later it's a state schools chief.
Yeah, there's a certain standard I think you have as an elected official and then also as head of public schools in the state. You can say whatever you want on these things. You have freedom of speech. But as you don't have the right to, in that position, to do that, and you don't have the right to, the voters can vote you out because of that. This could really hurt him. He seemed to be kind of a lot of posts about Hitler, related to Hitler, comparing him to Hitler and Planned Parenthood, Hitler and Darwin, Hitler and Roosevelt. I don't know, maybe he was watching the military channel a lot at night. But it's really a standard, it's kind of just weird. I was at lunch today at a restaurant downtown. A lot of people were actually talking about this, and we're not the most politically engaged town. People were actually talking about this.
What were they saying?
Head shaking type stuff. And a couple people said, they weren't going to vote for him because of this. This just seemed weird.
Yeah, what do we make of all this? Just plain strange, or is there more here? What's going on?
It's odd, and the strangest thing was how seemingly unapologetic he was. The fact that he said, I'm sorry if I happened to offend anyone, and reasserted this as a way for him to have free speech, to be a part of the discussion. And that's fine, but you are held to a higher standard as an elected official, and free speech doesn't sound as great when you're trying to hide behind the name Falcon 9 posting online.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like this really is unbecoming of an elected official, especially somebody of that level. You're a statewide official. You oversee public education throughout the state. And aside from the fact that some of these comments were really inflammatory, like calling Medicaid and welfare recipients lazy pigs, like Mike said, it's just weird and just doesn't seem like something an elected official should probably be doing.
And a lot of lawmakers in Arizona will defend, even if somebody says something kind of seemingly insane. The Bundy Ranch, for example, some of the comments that the rancher was making, lawmakers defended at least his right to say it, but I don't think you get the same defense if you're trying to hide behind a fake identity online.
Well, but some would argue that the Federalist Papers, there's a lot of pamphleteering that happened throughout the history of the country. Those were anonymous. Anyone buying that?
Well, I think you mentioned other comments that people put on stories, and most of them are pretty nasty on both sides. And so I think he gets tagged with that too. He's caught up in this. Why is he doing this? I think that's what everybody is. You're an elected official. If you had a hobby, take up yoga, try boxing, go jogging or something. Why are you doing this? And this kind of fits in. He's had some things in the past. The old woman that he got in the so-called scuffle with over the sign, the robocalls on the charter schools. And I think it just fits in the whole narrative about Arizona politics, about Republican politics here, that we're kind of kooky. We're on the Daily Show all the time. And here you have this school superintendent doing this on these websites with these strange names.
And if voters are really turned off by this, that's a couple of problems for Huppenthal, because he's got not only a general but a primary too. He's getting attacked from both sides, on the left wing and the right wing. The Dems hate him for being a conservative on a lot of school choice issues and Mexican American studies, stuff like that. Conservatives don't like him because of he's a supporter of Common Core, which is kind of one of the rallying cries for the conservatives and the Tea Party this year. That you could have some problems if voters really remember
Well, and he
this.
also got caught doing this. You can go online with all kinds of anonymous names and not get caught. But he put enough clues in there that multiple people kind of figured this out. And then he admitted to it. So you can be Tom, we're going to talk about Tom Horn. You can have a story and stick to it. I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. You can go online pretty easily and have names and no one would ever know who you were. And he was able to get caught on this and had to admit to it.
Well, he started naming off his childhood friends. I don't think it doesn't seem like he's really trying to hide his identity that well. Maybe it's almost like he wanted to get caught.
It's
on
like
that
a cry
one.
for help.
Well, okay, well, hold that thought up in order to let go of it, whatever. The idea that, again, this is the state schools chief, the superintendent of public education, and we have some historical curiosities within these posts. I mean, primary, general, does that, granted, we all agree, kind of strange here, but the inaccuracies of the posts themselves for an education chief, is that a factor?
I think it adds to the strangeness. So yes, and this is, in maybe, as Mike said, not the most politically aware Phoenix. This is the kind of story that does stick, that does get out there, that's going to probably have some legs for a while, because this is what people will be talking about 3 months from now. Huppenthal, who's Huppenthal? Oh, he's Falcon 9, and he's the one who thinks, Roosevelt started the Great Depression. That doesn't sound right.
What do you think? Primary, general? I mean, is this going to be could this be a factor?
I think so. I think both both opponents are going to go after him for this. We've seen them both put out statements. I think Diane Douglas, his primary opponent, has been kind of trying to draw attention to this for a while, because the liberal and conservative blogs both noticed this a while ago and have been trying to kind of get that story out there.
I think in both. I mean, you saw the Eric Cantor race. Things came together for his Tea Party opponent at the end. Mm-hmm. Conservatives hate Common Core. They're really starting to coalesce in their dislike of this. His primary opponent could take this on. Democrats see a lot of opportunities here, especially in the Attorney General's race and maybe this race. So you may see some money come in. If you have enough ads with these quotes, right, and this Falcon 9 stuff, that will stick with voters.
And remember the barbarians at the gate quote. We forgot about that one as well. So that's out there. Okay. Very interesting stuff. Let's now get to Tom Horn. He is under investigation yet again, this time by the Clean Elections Commission.
Yes, this is official now. Sarah Beatty, this former employee / volunteer campaign staffer, submitted this complaint alleging that he's running his campaign basically out of the AG's office using state time and resources. She submitted complaints to the Secretary of State's office and Clean Elections and some law enforcement agencies. Now the Clean Elections Commission voted unanimously to start this investigation, which is kind of unprecedented because he's not even a Clean Elections candidate. But if they found that he violated campaign finance laws, and this is really going to stick mainly to, are these in-kind contributions? Are these reported? Did they violate contribution limits? But if they find violations and enough of them, he could theoretically be kicked out of office.
Yeah, that's obviously the one extreme end of the spectrum. His attorneys are saying Clean Elections, they have no business even getting involved in something like this.
Well, he's, unlike Huppenthal, Tom has denied wrongdoing and doing things all along, and he's stuck to these stories and his side of things, and they'll make that argument. I think it'd be, far-fetched to see him get kicked out of office, but it's a cumulative effect on him, all these investigations and these charges and allegations. And I think it really helps Rodolini in the end, his general election opponent. You talk to Democrats around town, they're raising money for her. They think she's got a good chance against him or Brnovich in the general. They think she's got the stepping stone. She's got a political future here, and I think they feel a lot of momentum there. And so all this kind of works against him. But conversely, he was on Fox News this week talking about the border, how he's been sending cease and desist letters to Obama, and so that's been good news for him because he's able to talk to the base, talk to Republican primary voters about the border, about border security, while this other kind of inside baseball stuff works against him.
And the inside baseball stuff is that he basically ran his campaign out of the Attorney General's office, the claims again by Sarah Beatty. But the idea that Clean Elections shouldn't have a part of this, I think, is interesting because I think people don't realize just how far a reach Clean Elections the Commission has.
No, and this was something that came up a little bit during the regular session this year. Senator Steve Pierce was challenging whether or not Clean Elections had the ability to enforce contribution limits of traditionally funded candidates. And you saw then clean elections kind of got beat back by the legislature. And again, I wonder how long or how far along this investigation of Tom Horne is going to get before his attorneys sue and challenge and say, we don't think you even have a right to investigate here. You can deal with your clean elections funded candidates, but we should be on our own here.
Yeah, and I think part of the point of that legislation was to kind of set up the legal challenge, because the commission back in September or October passed a resolution saying, affirming what they believe was their authority and jurisdiction to regulate, candidates who don't actually participate in clean elections. Opponents of that, sprang into action, passed this law that said they don't have that authority. The commission said, well, that doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's irrelevant. It's moot. It doesn't affect us. This is a voter-approved statute, and it says what it says. Therefore, we still have that authority. Now, Horne's lawyer told me that they are considering a lawsuit. That this might be the test case for that.
But a lawsuit, again, keeps you in the headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Yes, that's Horne's biggest problem. And we talked about Huppenthal's issue. The hit and run is the thing that I think, if you accumulate everything, all this charges of malpractice and misconduct, but the little hit and run thing at the apartment with the friend from work is the thing that'll stick with voters. But you can accumulate all these things. Here's all these things, voters, that all these charges against them, and eventually voters will get fatigued.
Well, it's a steady drumbeat of coverage over and over and over again, and some of these issues, voters may not understand the intricacies of campaign finance law, that you're coordinating and that's not allowed, or the limit is this, or you're not allowed to do this from the office. But when you see headlines that say investigated, complaint, allegations,
Yes.
broke campaign finance law, hit and run, mistress, over and over and over again for almost 2 years now, that's really going to take its toll.
And we also talked about standards with Huppenthal. There's also a standard with Tom Horne. He's the state's top prosecutor. So he's not some lawmaker, some state senator saying something kooky. It's the top prosecutor's top legal officer in the state accused of misconduct and breaking the law.
All right, there's also a complaint filed with the Secretary of State's office. We haven't heard much about that. I guess we're waiting on that one too, huh?
Yeah, my understanding is they'll probably make a decision on that next week, whether to start that investigation. This week they're really tied up with a lot of these ballot challenges.
All right, Jeremy, you wrote about this. It sounds like Andrew Thomas, as yet, not qualified for clean elections funding. What's this all about? And does this mean, is he still running for governor? What's going on?
Well, he's still running for governor. He turned in his $5 qualifying contributions about a month ago, and as a gubernatorial candidate, you have to have 4,500 valid ones. He was barely over the line when he turned him in. They invalidated some. They found he was 113 short of that 4,500. They sent him an official notice today that he was denied for clean elections funding. But he has one chance to, once you have that denial, you have one chance to turn in one supplemental batch of more fives. And he said, he put out a statement today saying he's out collecting. He's probably been doing it for a while. That's not a lot of, not much of a gap to bridge there. So he'll probably get on there.
He's had very little impact on the race. I think when he first got in, people thought he might be some kind of spoiler, might at least have an impact on how the conservative votes go with his immigration stances. He's been pretty invisible on the campaign trail. I think if we had bet on who might have anonymous blog posts, Andy Thomas might be up there, and then said it was Falcon 9. But he may make a little bit of a run here at the end, but it doesn't look like he's having much of an impact.
We don't know for sure. It's all anonymous.
We don't know.
We don't know.
All those avatars on AZ
Don't
Central,
jump to
not
conclusions
sure.
when we don't know. Al Melvin is having some troubles as well. What's going on with him?
Also, another gubernatorial candidate having trouble with clean elections. We don't know how many fives he has. He hasn't said. But he did put out this kind of interesting statement last night saying that he's still not there, imploring supporters to give him more fives, and says within a week, by next Thursday, June the 26th, he will see if he's got his fives or if he's on pace to get them quickly. And if he's not, he said he'll drop out of the race. His campaign won't be viable.
If Melvin is out, if Thomas is somehow compromised to the point of not being a fact, who does that help? Who does that hurt? How much of an impact does that make on the race?
I wonder what percentage of the vote both of those candidates would have got anyway, particularly Melvin, who's maybe doesn't have as big of a statewide profile as Thomas, though Thomas's profile is, for all the wrong reasons, but probably minimal impact. I can't see which candidate would specifically benefit from that small percentage of the gubernatorial vote.
Well, Captain Al's campaign kind of began and ended with Anderson Cooper with his ill-fated interview. I agree. I think at the beginning of the race, you thought, well, maybe they get a few percentage each. If it's really tight, then you start to talk about it. Maybe it helps a couple of the more conservative folks in the race, Christine Jones or Doug Ducey. But I think everything's wide open right now, and I think it's minimal. I think most voters are still figuring out who these people are and why they're voting.
And yeah, please.
No, sure, they could combine for 10% or something like that. And these are going to be the most conservative voters in the primary. Now, of course, most of the candidates are already, most of them are pretty conservative. They're all vying for those conservative votes. That's leave some supporters for them to try and pick up. Could hurt Scott Smith, who's definitely running more towards the center as the moderate. If there's more conservative votes to go out there for Ducey or Bennett or Jones.
Yeah, and another candidate for governor, Ken Bennett, Secretary of State. Now, he wanted to appear in an ad, a voter education ad, because he says if something goes wrong like it did last time with these people walking into polling places with their early ballots and everything gets stagnated, he's the one who's got to explain it all on Capitol Hill and elsewhere. So why can't he?
There's no one else that could appear in that ad except for the Secretary of State.
It's a voter education ad.
And like we've joked about before, he would show people how to vote for governor and for a certain candidate named Bennett on there. And they ruled against it. But I think Brewer had done that when she was Secretary of State, but she wasn't running for governor at the time. So there's a voter education thing. Ken's running clean, so his TV strategy was this ad campaign. So he got denied that, but he's still a formidable gubernatorial candidate. Everybody's got him in the top tier. He certainly has a chance. But it was iffy to let him be in his own voter education ad.
I was going to say, a voter education ad, you don't necessarily need to see Ken Bennett for that, do you?
No, you could have any voter, any person really, show on TV, here's the buttons you need to press, or here's the I's you need to cross. But really, the reason that Brewer was allowed to do it last time was because she wasn't in a position where she was running for higher office. She was running for re-election, so that was a little more unique. But Bennett running for governor, it just added up to a maybe shady television ad for his campaign.
Now, what can he still go ahead with the ad? I mean, this is clean elections with their recommendation, correct? I mean, they're denying it, but what if he says, "To heck with that, I want to be on TV"?
Yeah, he could do it. I mean, this isn't him asking for permission to be in the ad. This is him asking for them to basically inoculate him against any future complaints. Because, I mean, let's face it, that ad runs, the first complaint from Ducey or Jones is coming in about 15 seconds later. He wanted them to give a no action determination, saying that they would not take action if a complaint is filed. They're not going to do it, and they know very well that he doesn't have to be in that ad because the Clean Elections Commission is running very similar ads about the exact same topic. And there's no elected officials or famous people.
Well, yeah, the Clean Elections runs these ads all the time, and you have various ethnicities and genders and ages from all walks of life in there, just like any other public service announcement. They don't have the head of Clean Elections in there. People don't really know who Ken Bennett is out there in the wilderness, so why does he need to be in the ad? Does it have any more impact?
He says it's part of the job of being Secretary of State.
Sure, he's the chief. Catherine Harris could have been in ads in Florida too when she was doing that.
Catherine Harris, boy, you're bringing him way out of the distant past.
We got to blame Bush at some point.
Well, speaking way out of the distant past, Cesar Chavez is no longer on the ballot. Please talk to us about this situation, because this, we've had a lot of strange stories tonight, and we've had some strange stories here of late. This one tops it. This is an amazing story.
This takes the cake. Cesar Chavez was in court on Tuesday because there was a challenge from Alejandro Chavez, relative of the real Hispanic labor icon Cesar Chavez, saying, first off, that I think you just took my father's name to dupe voters in CD7 and try and win the Hispanic vote in a heavily Democratic Hispanic district. This new Cesar Chavez, of course, changed his name from Scott Fistler after running as a Republican. But ultimately, what the judge found is that no, he's maybe not involved in some grand conspiracy and trying to confuse voters with the name change. The name change was done legally. He legally became a Democrat on time to start collecting votes to run for Congress. Where he tripped up is that half of the signatures that he collected in order to qualify for the ballot were deemed invalid by the county recorder's office. That's about 700 of 1,400 signatures. So he falls well short.
Talk about the hearing, because as you described it, there was quite a lot of theater there.
Well, it started off with the fact that Cesar was representing himself. We're not sure how much, if any, money he has for his campaign. He hasn't filed any campaign finance reports yet, and the last time I spoke with him, he said he's not sure how much money he has. So he was in court trying to navigate the legal process, and I think, God bless the judge, was very lenient with him and trying to help guide him through it and explaining, here's where the evidence presented against you is on your desk, and here's your chance to call witnesses, testify, maybe not ask questions of yourself, but at least testify. And it was some theater. He at some points grandstanded to the audience in the crowd. He started crying when he spoke about his great-grandfather serving in World War I while he was testifying, and the fact that he just thinks some Americans don't get their due. And ultimately, none of that mattered. He didn't have the signatures. He says he's going to appeal, although, again, I don't think he's got money to hire an attorney. And how successful would he be appealing to the Supreme Court by himself?
And the money situation is interesting because, again, as reported, he's selling his autograph. He's selling personal appearances for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, he's selling a variety of things. This is an unusual story.
Yeah, he's a very unusual person, and there's questions about how balanced he is and whether he has some issues there. But yeah, it just was very strange, and the aftermath's been strange. His attire, his behavior, also just like we start off the story, just strange.
Like personally, my favorite part of this entire circus from the other day was when he told reporters that no, I did not change my name to take the name of the famous Cesar Chavez, the labor icon. He said, did it because my favorite athletes are Julio Cesar Chavez and Eric Chavez, and my dog's favorite dog food is Cesar brand dog food. So, in that spirit, I could go ahead and change my name to Friskies Fitzgerald or something like that.
Well, in that spirit, are we going to start seeing Amelia Earhart and Margaret Mead and George Washington and
we have a history of this with people's real names, Paul Newman and Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, and we've had various Bob Stumps on there, but this took it to a new and very bizarre and a lot of people play a very cynical level.
And my favorite part of the services that Cesar is offering to try and raise funds for his campaign is that if you'd like, Ted, you could give him $2,000 and he would help you change your name, provide you some of the legal documents you need to do
Falcon
it.
9 in the future.
Yeah.
All right.
Is this the last we see of Mr. Fissler/Chavez?
I kind of hope not. Based on what we've seen so far, he said he's going to appeal to the Supreme Court, and after the district court hearing, I'd love to see him there. But I don't know if this guy clearly doesn't really have any money, and I don't know if the things he tried to pull in the district court, I don't know if that's going to fly before the Arizona Supreme Court. He can appeal, but I don't know what that's going to do for him, especially if half of his signatures are invalid in the first place.
Well, the legitimate folks in the race, Mary Rose Wilcox and Ruben Gallego, were concerned about this because this could be a really tight race. And you had this guy in here with this name. If he gets a couple percent and it's really close, it could swing the balance. So I think they're both happy that he's off of there.
All right, before we get out of here, it sounds like the Kansas Secretary of State, Chris Kobach, from 1070 fame and election controversial fame, he is endorsing every single person in the Secretary of State's race out here?
Almost every single person. On Tuesday, he announced that, Senator Michelle Reagan from Scottsdale announced that Kobach had endorsed her, which was kind of a head scratcher for a lot of people because Kobach is known as, he's very conservative. He's known as the author of SB 1070. He's pushing a lot of election integrity issues that Democrats really oppose as, voters, quote unquote voter suppression. Reagan's known as a more moderate Republican. He came out and endorsed her. It didn't sit so well with some conservatives, especially those who are a part of Will Cardin's campaign, one of whom called Kobach and his people and said, hey, what are you doing? 2 days later, they put out a statement saying Chris Kobach also endorses Will Cardin.
Can you endorse two people in the
Sure.
same
Well,
race?
you can endorse. You can post blogs anonymously. You can change your name. You can certainly endorse more people. It kind of waters it down a little bit. Conservatives should like Michelle Reagan for her campaign, her election law bill that looked to really limit Democratic votes. But she's not quite conservative enough for some of them. It could have an impact on some of the immigration activists. That's a big issue in the campaign.
Kobach also, yesterday's was actually the third endorsement he's made in that race because he endorsed Steve Montenegro last year when he still had an exploratory committee open for the Secretary of State's race. Now he dropped out of that race, and so then months later he endorsed Reagan, and then he endorsed Cardin. I'm kind of wondering what Justin Pierce, who's the last candidate in the race, I'm wondering how he feels about this, what he has to do to be the only guy in the race to not get endorsed by Chris Kobach.
It's like going to the horse track and betting on all the horses. You'll have a winner no matter what.
Yeah, I just, the concept of an endorsement, though, sounds like you are for that person. If you're for two people, who cares? Does anyone care about this?
Doesn't carry quite as much weight. I don't know how many voters really know who Chris Kobach is in the first place, so How much impact it has, who knows?
Well, and if it did have any impact, I think it's clearly been diminished now that he's endorsed three candidates in the last 2 years.
It's hard to have a sign Chris Kobach endorsed and the sign right next to it says "Me Too." All right, thank you guys. Good stuff. Monday on Arizona Horizon, we will take a closer look at Maricopa County's new budget, and we'll learn about an attempt to estimate the monetary value of Arizona's natural resources. That's Monday evening on Arizona Horizon. Tuesday, a look at new innovations to help meet Common Core education standards. Wednesday, an Arizona Horizon debate with GOP candidates running for the Corporation Commission. Thursday, the aftermath of the Yarnell Hill fire. And Friday, it's another edition of the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great weekend.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.